What's up, everyone? I'm going to take you on a trip. Man, I've got such a cool life. I haven't committed to this yet, but one of the things that I've always been intrigued, that I've never headed down the path of, and that's been off-roading. And off-roading in a, let's call it a yuppie fashion. So sorry to all you real men off-roaders. I'm not really interested in that. I'm interested in the fancy way of doing it, where I've got PPF and coatings, and when I get it dirty, I come home and clean it immediately. But all that interests me. I'm not going out camping, but that kind of off-road, bro-dozer type stuff is really, really cool to me. So I'm embarking on a trip. I was about to commit to the thing. It's a very expensive proposition here. I was looking to do some sort of pre-runner or some small like two-door truck and make it sort of Baja ready for the fun of it. I've done some basic Raptor stuff, but I wanted to build something crazy, and these guys out in California called the Automotive Performance Group, APG, they were building Rangers, making really cool. And so I called them about the possibility of doing a Ranger Raptor. And that's when George turned me on to, well, we're building Broncos now, and he explained the virtues of why. And so we've gone through the process of me deciding what I'm going to do and what vehicle I'm going to choose. And I thought, maybe I should just go out there. And so I booked a trip. My best buddy and I, Charles, are going out there. He might buy one too. I'm not planning on signing any documentation here. I'm trying to divest a little bit here in my life and get things organized so I can focus on the Village's design center that I'm building and the new HQ. But I am likely going to buy one of these things in the not too distant future. And so I figured I'd vlog this and bring you along on the trip. So I know I'm doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So me opening videos like this is probably necessary to keep you up to date with what the heck's going on. But hopefully you enjoy this video. I'm going to hopefully enjoy my time. I'm jumping on a plane, headed to Los Angeles today. And then tomorrow we're going to tour APG. Tuesday we're going to go out in the desert and jump some stuff. And then back home afterwards. So I hope you enjoy this, and let's head to Los Angeles. All right, Chucky, you're gonna start vlogging. We're in Long Beach, California. I'm gonna go over to APG in about an hour or so. We're gonna get some breakfast. But I didn't do any vlogging yesterday. I just wasn't feeling it. Long flight. I got in at our time at 3 a.m. I think when I went to sleep. I went to sleep at midnight. I think so, yeah. I got up, went to CrossFit, and now we're gonna get some breakfast. And then go check out what are the odds of us ending up leaving with a couple $100,000 trucks each.
For you?
No.
Pretty good. For me? Probably pretty good.
No, I'm in the ratcheting back phase of my life.
Yeah, okay, man.
All right, it's time to go broke. APG. So we're in Long Beach. I guess, I don't know if this is Long Beach still, but we're staying in Long Beach.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think that's the Pro Runner. So let's go check it out.
Everything starts with a machine geometric shape, where you're then creating a mold off of that master depending on the volume. You extract the mold and you go into repetitive part production business. It doesn't matter if it's a hood, a quarter panel, any shape. People make composite frames and structures for aviation, aerospace, doors, panels, trims, whatever it is. It all starts with some sort of basic created shape. Then when you go into manufacture the part, we are a low volume facility, so the way that we do it is we essentially template. Everything is still templated, but it's all done by hand. Piece by piece, layer by layer. Material is drawn from the racks, hand cut, and then placed into a tool or a mold.
Is that how you get precision, make it fit? Is that thing matters? The mold matters?
100%.
Yeah.
All of the design, all the data, everything we're going to do starts 6 months before we have any idea, before we get to the point of creating an actual part, right?
Yeah.
So to kind of quickly run through that process, it would be, let's say the engineering is done, all the machining, the mold making, the tool making is done, and we go into a part production. That would involve creating our master template, placing the material. So here's a good example of seeing some pre-templated materials. Skilled composites isn't like just shoving cheap fiberglass in a mold, in your parts.
Well, you have to get the weaves to match.
You got to get it all. It's like fine interior work, right? you got to get all your templates with all your ply direction orientated and engineered. I'll kind of take you over here.
Yeah.
Let me show you an actual tool. Just an example of a 500-degree carbon tool, right? This is the female shape of a male part we want to create.
Oh, I see.
So we will essentially layer all of the material into this very complex tool. Actually, automotive body panels are some of the hardest parts to make because there's so much random geometry, and it's hard to get that carbon to flow when you have complex geometry. So the manufacturing process of making a part, when we're all done with all that earlier engineering, is simply laminating all of the carbon inside of the tool. It'll then run through
this is the tricky part.
This is a tricky part. Very, very tricky part.
This is impressive.
This is our specialty. And then running all the various consumables and flow materials and fabrics that help the resin compact into corners and help it flow throughout and saturate the carbon. And it'll go into our bagging section, and then it'll sit under vacuum for 24 hours, and kind of like a Ziploc bag, right? That's not pressure, that's negative vacuum, where it's then sucking and just pulling all the air out of that fabric of carbon. It's also compacting the fabric against this hard surface of the part.
Are these highly skilled laborers that do it? Yeah.
Very much so.
It's similar to a boat, like a boat shell.
A high-end boat, absolutely. The machines will mix up all the high-temp resin, and you'll have to get it in the juicing bucket. It's a very primitive process in a way. You'll just simply connect this draw bucket and open it up. This will sit inside of a bucket of resin that's already, right now it's under its heated, people, you can feel it. And as soon as you open that up, because the other side of the component is under vacuum, it'll just suck resin up naturally, and then it kind of runs across, and it just saturates all of that carbon itself. Wow. Carbon is just a fabric, you know, it's just a fiberglass and Armor All and Kevlar and all these various textiles. It's just a strong fabric, but it has nothing until it then is saturated with this adhesive, with its binder, with its glue. If that kind of, there's so much more to it, but I'm kind of trying to simplify it, right? But once you saturate it, and you let it sit under IR for about 12 hours, and then it'll run into our cooking chamber for about 24 hours, and then really harden that. I make my parts for a Ford Bronco the exact same way a supercar manufacturer makes their parts. The Porsche that's on your shirt, advanced composites, not a Tijuana fiberglass, you know, just cheap, like surfboard style. Because we want our external body panels to last the life of the car, and that is essential, especially when going into custom paint and body. You know, you spend 10, 20 grand on just a perfect paint job, blocking and getting all the heights and lows out of there, and then you get into your final base clear, cut, polish. I know you like something like that. If the panel itself doesn't have structural stability or thermal stability for being in the sun and hot, especially off-road or in the desert, it'll just soften and warp and chip and break, and that's not a paint failure, that's a panel failure that exposes itself on the surface. So we take this very intricate, we take this down to a science, and that's why our cars are built perfect, and then they kind of last. And that's why I do it.
Cutting it, look.
This is what a part looks like straight out of our mold.
Yep. And then you trim it up and...
Yeah, the thing that differentiates, you will not see a single ounce of body filler on any of my parts. They're flawless. This is straight out of the tool, and you can tell this hasn't even been trimmed yet.
Yep.
So once this raw part comes out of a tool, it'll then get precision trimmed, and that'll get us our final raw part, and then it'll be handed off to my body shop to get all the pre-body treatment, the high built marine grade primer, which we then oven cure and then block it, then get it into the booth for a final.
Sometimes you'll clear.
Be very careful. It's extreme edges, right? Yeah. The edges are like razor blade sharp. Okay. I got it.
So sometimes you'll just clear over this.
Oh yeah. I actually have a car that's gonna get done like that. Yeah. It's like sorry, Rizzo.
You're good.
I will hand you. I'll hand you a trim part in a second.
So that one fender, how much is that, roughly?
That one part's probably about $1,800.
Okay, so not unrealistic for people.
No, it's got 20 hours in it,
and that's a whole fender.
Sweet.
So this is not final clear, okay? This is just what we call a sun shield UV protection. It's stage 1 of all of our refinishing.
Okay.
This is a part like what you just held straight out of the mold that we then base treat, and we put this high build UV protection like gel coat on it. So whether it's going to get painted or left exposed carbon, it always gets this. Because high grade epoxy will yellow when exposed to ultraviolet rays. So we will coat it, treat it, and then hand it off to go back to the body shop for it. These particular parts are getting fully exposed carbon.
Okay.
So this will get blocked like a primer, and then this will get a urethane top coat.
Okay.
And then that'll be the final flawless top coat.
And when you paint them, what would be next? The primer?
Instead, if it's going to be a fully painted panel, it actually won't get this UV coat.
Okay.
It'll get a special vinyl ester marine grade primer.
Okay.
Then it's high build just like this, very jelly.
Yeah.
And then we're not going to use like a PPG primer or something, and then recoat it 10 times.
Okay.
Because we want to make them flat, so we'll go high build, knock it down, and then it'll go into sealer, base coat, clear coat, and then it'll get to cut polish. This is the Panda you saw.
Yep.
We're using it. This is Ken. He's the main man.
How are you?
Gonna be a fun one? It's gonna be high. We're just using it for some light design fitment right now. But this is essentially what a finished car would be.
Yep.
They're bigger in person.
Yep.
They're a lot bigger in person.
Yep.
Will you sell more? What if people have more interest?
4 doors.
I cannot sell this car for my life dependent on it. Nobody wants a 2-door in the United States.
Yeah.
No, 2 doors like everybody like we need like. I think the Bronco looks better in a 2-door. I do. I like the car better. I love everything about this car better, but I can never drive one. I've got a wife and 2 kids with a bunch of crap.
You're right though. In person, it doesn't look as short and fat, right? This is what I was afraid of, that gap there. On camera, it looks like it's going to tip over.
It doesn't. This thing is so stable.
Yeah.
Because it's 91 inches wide.
Right.
So the vehicle's vertical center of gravity.
It's darn near square driving on the road.
It is. Look at the proportions on it.
109 by 104.
Yeah,
Almost
it's like
perfect square.
Yeah, it's wild. This thing U-turns so good.
Yeah.
You know? It doesn't seem crazy, but that's a 14-inch throw, 3-inch coilover in the back, which is absolutely monstrous. This is all race series stuff.
So that's Pro Runner.
That's Pro Runner. Yeah. That's mid. We typically build a Pro Runner and Mid Runner in the Raptor at the same time.
Got
so Raptor build, Mid Runner build, Pro Runner build.
Yep.
We just don't have capacity to build much more than that.
So explain to people why we don't why I wouldn't do a Raptor. Raptor has the stuff that you can't modify as easily.
Dude, Raptors are sweet. I think Raptors are awesome for a car you can get from a Ford dealer.
Yeah.
But what we're able to deliver in an aftermarket scenario for off-road and even on-road performance is just miles above.
It's complete too.
It's complete.
But like I was thinking I would do a base Raptor, but as my base car, as my shell, but there's disadvantages to that.
Yeah, at least right now we're unable to build on a Raptor platform because of the electronics. Ford wanted to deliver this modern off-roader that has so many selectable dial modes and shock control technology, and it's all, and the way that Bronco operates is all tied into the multiple computer modules. So I can't change that shock out with another shock. I can't do that because the computer's going to go. It's going to go crazy. So until those computers are cracked, which somebody did it, but there's so much more than that. There's other roll control, slope control. There's ABS issues with axle swap outs. Until the electronics are bypassed in a reliable, tested fashion, I can't rebuild the architecture of the axles in the suspension system. So it's like, yeah, it's easy to design shock mounts, brackets, and put big parts in, but if the car's not going to work exactly the way all the electronics, the GOAT modes, your selectable lockers, your low range mode, all of your creature comforts inside the cabin, if I can't get the car to work right, I'm not going to do it. We're not a race shop. We are the #1 shop building production cars and maintaining all OEM functionality.
So that's the key, is I don't have a bunch of freaking lights on the dash.
That shit, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to work like stock.
If I didn't care about that, I can get it to work.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if your airbags are going to deploy. I don't know if your air conditioning is going to work. Your power windows are going to roll down. I don't do that.
What do most of these start as? Wild
Wild Track,
Wild
yeah.
Track,
Wild Track,
Badlands, something like
Okay.
that.
Because you need the better engine, but you don't want to go full tilt to like wasting your money on a heritage,
Yeah,
right?
well, I'm throwing V8s in these things here pretty soon. I got Godzilla motors coming in there. I got
God.
the 1500 horse if you want it.
Of course.
I don't think we have a power problem because I personally want range, right?
Yeah.
I know it's a car with a limited architecture or limited frame space or how big of a tank I can fit inside. And I've got a 23-gallon tank and I want to maximize mine. Because how I use my car is I go out on trips and I want as much fuel as possible. Race cars like, screw it, man. Just freaking put a 7-gallon tank and just send it, you know?
Yeah.
And then have somebody stop filling up fuel. Fuel range is important.
Yeah.
I mean, and we get a lot of power out of these new turbo motors. Ford has done a great job of building a lightweight application that's fuel efficient, and they're getting your power with turbos. So turbo upgrades, intercoolers, downpipes, intake, exhaust, hot pipes, cold pipes. Let the engine breathe better, optimize it with a tune and a proper axle ratio.
Yeah.
These things move. Yeah, you don't sound like a V8, but you're putting V8 power out.
What gearing ratios do you put in it?
538.
538.
It seems to work. 538 seems to run well with a 40-inch tall tire.
So explain, tell me, I know, but tell me what this is. Tell the people what's going on here with the axle.
What the people want, man.
Yeah,
a lot of wheel travel. Wheel travel is everything in off-road. Wheel travel will absorb your hits, your elements, your obstacles. That's why a Raptor is better than a non-Raptor. So the name of the game is wheel travel. Don't let anybody tell you it's anything other than that. Naturally, there's other advantages such as ground clearance, approach angle, departure angle, tire size, traction to earth, contact with earth. But pairing all of those elements together, large tires, large wheel travel, and it improves off-road ability. Not just wheel travel in a vertical spec, but also overall flex corner to corner. So if you're in an off-camber situation, you're climbing up some ruts or you're making a right-hand turn, having that wheel travel just does the work so your car doesn't have to do the work. So kind of what you're looking at here is in order for us to get more wheel travel, where your original shock mounts way down here, we raise it up a foot. We've got a series of reinforcement poles and some additional support bracketry back here. And we took the shock and we went outboard of it. Yeah, so we are running a dual rate shock for a number of reasons. Every single car we built is sprung and valved differently. No two, especially adventure cars, are loaded with the same accessories and armor and bumper and tire size. Guys who use their cars and they travel across the country and they got 500, 600 pounds of cargo in the back. So the advantage about building a custom car with us is specifically we will spring and valve your whole setup for your majority of driving style. The car's not going to feel bogged down when you go load your crap up in there.
Mm-hmm.
So
overlanding.
Oh yeah, the overlanding thing. I'm not a big overlander. I just like to go fast,
Mm-hmm.
But having adjustable coilovers, adjustable ride heights, dual rate springs. We run a digressive setup that just keeps it very soft in the beginning, so it just drives like an OEM car. And then we can overload it and increase those capacities to support whatever load you're going to have inside the car. So this is your primary coilover. It's a 14-inch throw. So it's an overall 28-inch long shock with a 32-inch eyelet to eyelet. That's 2.5 inch, about 2 times longer than the original shock that's in there. We're paired. So this is a 3-inch diameter, which is it's a larger than an OEM shock or another OEM replacement shock. Original shock's like 2.1. Performance shocks are 2.5. This is 3-inch diameter. A lot of fluid capacity. It's got this massive external reservoir. We've got these heat sink fin reservoirs that help keep the internal fluid cool. It's got the main shock itself. It's got the reservoir's got an adjuster on there. They're kind of tough to open when they're brand new. And I have office hands. This acts as a tool. Just kind of flip it around. Now you can change your compression settings with the actual cap itself.
So, okay.
Now looking at the primary coilover, it actually has built-in internal bypass. You don't need this secondary 3-2 bypass. This and this is all you need. People say, well, why'd you do both? I'm like, well, some of our customers drive really hard. like really hard, and they're jumping the car. And you really need multiple stages to slow down that compression if you're lifting yourself off of the ground. Now this could probably handle some light jumping, but you're not going to want to. When you're jumping, you're leaving the ground so fast. You really need to slow rebound down, so when you jump, it doesn't just spring off the ground. Yeah. You want to like slow and really slow when you finally hit the earth. So again, not needed, but if you want it. It even drives and does a mild off-roading better. But if you're not driving so aggressive, we'll set these tubes up so you can have a good, comfortable drive every day and then still handle some heavy off-roading. But we'll even give you some suggested setup specs if you are going to be doing some wild stuff. This car is going to Dubai, and he is absolutely off-roading this thing. So
good for him.
He's got the Mecca, he's got a lot of valving in this, and a lot of weight support, secondary bumps in here, just in case he just hits even harder. And this kind of saves the frame from bending. If you happen to use all that, this saves you towards the end.
So if you lift the car up, this is how the axle's going to sit down, drop down like this.
This is at complete droop.
Yeah.
Which is a big guy. I don't bend over well anymore.
Yeah, that's why I was sitting on the floor. Yeah, because I was telling him I want brakes. He's like, you don't need them. I was like, can we powder coat him? Can we powder coat him at least?
Yeah. All right, so this axle comes to us bare and empty, naked. All of the bracketry is all custom APG bracketry because we reworked the entire geometry of the car. We knew that the original architecture of the Ford design couldn't handle the wheel travel that we wanted, and we found a lot of binding when cycling the original suspension. But an original OEM suspension has got a bunch of rubber bushings on all the link points, which doesn't matter because it just kind of flex over. Yeah. But when you go high-end joints, there's less flex in the joints, so we had to correct all that. So the whole rear axle got moved back an inch. We've got a whole new upper track bar bracket, all new axle link bracketry. The actual upper control arm link brackets stay in their original position. There's nowhere to move them, so we just moved the uppers back on the axle. The lower control arm brackets, these lowers are almost a foot longer. So you come to the side. We used to originally mount back here. We cut it off and we moved it about a foot forward. And then we give you this nice, good slope geometry. So if you're in a rock crawl scenario, you don't get hung up on brackets.
How do you make this? I don't see any cut.
That's because my fabricators are some of the best in the world.
Wow, that's cool.
We take the time when we take the cutout. We take the time to clean the frame up, do any touch-up weldings, then retreat with rust prevention. Make it look good, like it came that way from the factory. The entire underbody of the Bronco is also layered in this UMHW plastic. So if you ever do get hung up on a rock or something, it's like a jet ski, you slide right over it. So all these components, it's a big old 1350 double carbon heavy duty drive shaft. Right, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So if you're going to put big heavy wheels and tires, axle, drive shaft, everything has to change. You can't break this T-case. I tried. It thing's bulletproof. It's freaking amazing. I've been trying, but for this power, this tire size, drive shaft to axle, we're getting a fully reliable use up to my testing, and I beat the piss out of my cars. So again, all the bracketry, track bar, lower track bar, upper track bar bracket, this whole apparatus, like the shock mounts that tie into the bump stop landing pad and also tie into the lower link mount. This whole system is all just pre-engineered. It welds up to this Dana Ultimate 60 rear semi-float axle. But people hear like semi-float, oh, it's not a full float. Like, no, you don't need a full float. You can't do a full float with the electronic brake setup. It's just not, you just can't change that, right? So in order to accommodate the semi-float, it's got these massive dual taper bearings on the outer, so you're not getting that hub play, and it's super strong, even on a 150-pound wheel and tire combo. Let's go to the front. Same like in the rear, but this is a much smaller packaging IFS replacement front axle. This is still rated at Dana 44, but it's got huge 32 spline, iron half shaft housing, reinforced joints, heat treated internals. It has the strength of a 60 series axle, but packaged in a Dana 44. Everything outward of that, I mean, you even look, it's got a whole new steering rack and pinion in there. It's a full billet assembly.
That's what's sitting up front.
Correct. I mean, if you look at this rack and pinion, right? Like you can't just, when you go big, you can't just change a couple. Everything that connects to that tire has to change. So heavy duty 74 weld rack and pinion, heavy duty axle, heavy duty drive shafts, heavy duty lower control arms, upper control arms. Just so much. Everything that connects to is rebuilt and reinforced. Same like you guys saw on the rear of the car, where the original shock mounted down here. We raised it up about 8 inches, opened up the tower, double sheared the tower, gusseted, reinforced it with multiple points for impacts. Secondary bypass tube that runs all the way across, allows for a mount of a secondary shock.
And he is.
In which he is. We also have the bump stop up here, just like the rear. So front and rear setup is 3.0 internal bypass coilover, long fin resin, secondary bypass shock, and an adjustable bump stop. So it's just it's packaged all together, and that's what matters. Is like the whole car's got to be built correctly. You know, a lot of guys will kind of throw on like an LT kit or an upgrade for the front, like leave the back alone. Just wish it good luck. I'm very much into packaging cars. So you kind of saw the torn down look. It's not so pretty, but bringing everything together, the fit and finish work. Come up in here. So this is packaged the way that car was up front. So this is a bit of this car's been dirty, been driven around in the rain a little bit, but the way that liner ties everything together.
Fender liner,
This keeps that debris out of there, but also it serves a structural purpose.
Yeah.
You know, for a wide body system, this liner ties everything from the other all the other mounts that you typically lose. So again, kind of the adjustable bump stop, the heavy duty steering system, 3.0 coilover, adjustable upper control arm, lower control arm. That car didn't have the race grade RCV CV axles in there yet, but this car naturally does. These are like 300M internals, race grade, Rizeppa inner and outer with a plunge system on the inner. These axles are tough, man. These are like race grade. I don't think you'll break these. I think the weak point on this car would be the front axle, but no one's broken one yet, so I have no reason to look into making a stronger one. That's kind of how things work, is we find the weak link of something, and then we say, all right, this is the weak link, let's make a better, stronger one. That's the progression of automotive. So something pretty sweet about this whole rear setup, this is a 147-pound spare tire. It will not survive any tailgate. So you pull the weight off the tailgate, it's a single stage opening system. So, but the weight doesn't sit on the tailgate itself, it sits on that pivot out there.
Yeah.
My old Jeep, I used to have to open my swing out with my tailgate, and come in and open my tailgate. I was like, it's annoying, I didn't even want to open it. So that's why this is super, super important. The interior of the car is completely original. We are not your interior shop. We would outsource something like that. But there's so many great interior shops. Full white, you know, and you want alligator skin seats, I don't know.
I just want it stock with the stereo.
I will literally, you gotta hear the system. Yeah. That battery's connected. Most body kit companies kind of create the body kit around the original door because we don't have plastic injection. But I actually 3D print this door, and then it clicks in just like original door, but it follows the contour of my design.
Oh, so that's all
factory bucket, APG door. That way you have the capless filler, emissions, the spillage, all that crap. So I need a way for heat to escape the engine compartment, but the problem with heat extracting hood systems are like ram hoods. Water just flows on top of the motor, gets in the fuse box. So we swap out the lower hood pad with our own, and that catches all of the water. Sorry, one sec. That catches the water from the drain port, or from the hood heat, catches it and runs it up front and drains out the factory drain port. So right above the radiator where all the heat is, heat rises, runs out, leaves the hood ports, and then we're actually lowering motor temps a lot. And that's huge, it's super important. We're also not dumping water on top of this new modern car spaghetti going on here.
So this is pretty cool. I mean, this is the mid runner, they call it. Like 120 grand, something like that, 130 grand maybe.
Maybe a little bit less. 38s.
I believe so, yeah.
1250s.
Yeah. See, they don't do the long travel. They just kind of
Yeah.
use what exists. Put the fenders on.
It's funny though, because once you see
Control arms.
once you see the full tilt build, you're like, yeah.
Well, that's exactly what I was planning on doing, one of these. And then,
Yeah.
like, screw it. If you're gonna
Just
do
love
it,
to drive both back to back or something.
yeah.
You'll be able to do that. This looks good though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it does look really nice because when you don't, you can do the skinnier lip, skinnier addition with the slightly skinnier tire.
Yep.
And it's still a 38. I can't believe it's a 3812.
So remember, I'm a sensitive gentleman.
That's true.
Sensitive fella here.
All right.
I'm mainly just interested in what are the manners like?
I got you.
And we made mine a little bit more mild mannered than this one is, just a tiny bit.
We did.
Right.
But you're still rolling off on a 4-door Bronco Proto 40s. So
Yeah.
with the big shocks and big suspension.
That's what I'm excited about.
It's going to be cool. I think the most important thing is to realize, like, you're inside this car, you're in a unmolested Ford Bronco.
Yeah.
You have all the creature comforts of your car straight from the factory.
3 passengers, people sitting in the back.
And you know what you don't have? Lights on the dash and all sorts of problems. You get full control functionality. So whether you're shifting out the 4 high, 4 low, all of your selectable lockers, all your modes, your traction system, there's no issue. Everything is fully functional. So like the car is what you bought from the factory still, and that's super important. Right?
And you're driving around on 2-wheel high most of the time.
That's it. Yeah, we don't get much snow here in Southern California. Well, you don't get it in Florida either.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you're just driving a significantly upgraded version of the car you had.
Got it.
Everything is optimized.
Yeah.
Not just aesthetics and looks, but performance, power performance, suspension performance. So having an optimized car, you're still a Bronco.
Yeah.
Right? And we just, like we said, we optimize it, and we optimize it to a path that you can choose. We just don't let you make any mistakes along the way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this car has got a lot of use. This is our demo car. The smallest of movements, the smallest of touches, like everything just kind of disappears. I have got my suspension set up on the stiffer side because when I'm out driving, filming, I'm driving fast, I'm driving hard. I'm not going to set you up so stiff. I'm going to set you up something like a really good everyday driver that you can, I don't know, hit some parking lot whoops and still kind of go. So the car has pick.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's not tiny.
Yeah.
The thing that bogs any off-road car down is your tire size. You got 150 pounds of unsprung mass per corner. That's going to slow you down. But it still moves. You can kind of feel as soon as the turbo kind of kicks in.
Yeah.
It's not a race car, but it has the power.
I assumed we'd be like
struggling. No, it's.
And this is when I was watching your videos. You told me you could drive it like a normal car.
Drive like a normal car. I mean, I'm not touching the steering wheel, so we're gonna hit like a couple little bumps because I kind of want you to feel how everything beneath the car just kind of disappears.
Yeah.
Don't do it. So we're just gonna hit this big little whoop section right here. It just everything is just kind of goes away.
Yeah.
So everything. I mean, it kind of makes your everyday driving a little bit funner because you're not. The suspension's doing the work. Now, again, how I have me set up or how I have this car set up right now is for aggressive off-roading.
Right.
How you change your compression settings and your spring settings, that's going to change how fast it compresses. And there's just, there's an entire industry of science behind that. So we do that work for our customers, but know that I'm going to set you up nice and soft. But you're not going to feel like you're wobbling because we're going to get it sprung and we're going to get it, sprung to be supported, but just on the softer side. So something that's a big misconception about one of these cars is you think because you have big travel suspension that the car doesn't handle.
Oh my lord.
It absolutely handles. Okay?
I didn't.
Sorry. I didn't know you were. I should have given a disclaimer. Seatbelt for safety, sir.
I'm up.
I'm sorry, man. Seatbelt. I was all focused on that. So, if you're driving a solid axle car, you're like a big solid axle. You're like fighting to keep it in the lane. I mean, I'm just one finger driving this car.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do one little area right here. The only thing that I can do unless we go out to the desert or we go somewhere, you're not going to see this car shine. This car shines in aggressive driving scenarios.
Yeah.
So what we hit back there was just a bit of a gutter kind of indentation, just something around this commercial area so you can kind of feel the suspension do its work. But if we were to take what we're going to do right now, if we were to do this in an unmodified Bronco or Bronco Raptor or a truck or any other off-road, non-performance off-road car, just what we did back there, you would have hit and you would have launched and you would have left the ground. And what we're going to do right here, if you do this in an unmodified and a non-advanced, like a performance off-road car, it can be catastrophic. It's crazy.
This thing goes, man.
It's not slow, yeah.
Yeah.
When you see these things.
Oh my gosh. That's it.
But that is quite literally nothing.
That would have destroyed any other car, right? Just destroyed my car.
And again, I wish I can get you guys out there in the future to really feel.
We will. I'll come back and we'll go out in the desert.
But do you feel that little bit of? Did you have that little bit of? We just gotta.
Yeah, I'm gonna die. He's messing with me. He's going too hard.
I won't do that too.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can hit it one more time. I mean, just silly things like, oh, hey, there's a curb.
Yeah.
The world kind of becomes your playground.
Good.
Yeah. I tell people to, be responsible. Don't terrorize the neighborhood because then you're dragged to the off-road world.
Give me a little break. How does the brakes?
Oh yeah. Let me see if I can catch up and not piss these people off. There's no brake
brakes.
issue.
Yeah.
And I barely touched it. I just had some cars behind me right now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna see if I can tee this up a little bit. I want to hit it at double the speed if I can.
Oh boy. I was fine with the first speed.
Are you good? Okay.
Yeah, I get it.
You
Don't
get
do
it.
to me
Go
again.
on the pier.
Don't do it to me again.
All right. Fair enough.
My tolerance level is very low for risk.
Be like in the desert.
I just think about driving this thing around town. Look how freaking cool this is.
Oh yeah. It is annoying almost. Okay.
Yeah.
It is annoying because there's so many people looking. I was on the freeway. I drive on the 22 freeway to and from work. And these guys are hey, they're trying to get my attention. They're giving me thumbs up. They're taking pictures. Man, this guy, he's just staring at me.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, traffic stopping. Look. He's freaking rear ends the guy.
Oh, jeez.
Right, because he's staring at this car.
Do you have the sway bars connected on this?
I have all the sway bars actually removed. So
Okay.
imagine,
Yeah.
it's even tighter.
You're right. The brakes are legit.
Yeah, the electronic brake booster on the 2.7 is really fantastic.
I thought you'd have to plan ahead, right? You'd have
Stops.
to. Wow, that's great.
That's amazing.
So one of the things I'm going to do on your build is I'm going to slow your rear rebound down because you're not going to have to wait in the back when you're decelling. I don't want your rear end picking up as bad.
Yeah.
I've got mine nice and off-roady, so I'm going to valve you up for that.
But that's what I'm paying for here, right?
Exactly.
It's through your expertise, and that's why I'm out here 3,000 miles away to get you to do it.
The off-road world is so unapproachable because there's so many mechanics. It's difficult. What do I do? How do I build it?
Right, and it's not my world. It's a world that I want to break into, and I have the means to just do it right from the get.
Yeah.
Rather than, this is, they say bought, not built or whatever. And I say, well, whatever.
Yeah,
I want this experience of this is OE like.
I think that's a really that's a cool catchphrase, built not bought. But okay, what if you're a doctor or a business owner and you don't have a world in automotive engineering excellence and you just want a quality product? You want to be able to go to somebody who knows what they're doing and be like, all right, this is my lifestyle. I'm trusting you to just kind of figure, listen to me, listen to my wants, and then configure a car for me. And you don't need to be an engineer. You don't need to be a guru in this world to understand. But if you can work with someone that does, and they're not going to do you dirty,
This is it, man. This is exactly what I was hoping it would be.
That's it. See,
It's even better than I was hoping.
Heck yeah. No oversteer. It just drives and is stable. And if you want to be silly, you don't need to slow down at all the bumps like you do in the Porsches and whatnot.
So,
All right, I'm done.
Yeah.
I got to let people feel the car a little bit.
Yeah.
no, I meant
That's
the people
perfect.
in other cars.
Oh,
That guy's
yeah.
gonna slow down for that speed bump. No, he's not.
No.
All right, so we finalized it. I signed it. Yeah, now you gotta pay for it. So I want to go through all the details of what I bought and what we're doing. We're gonna call this, what do we call this, like Roadrunner or something?
Roadrunner
Matt
Pro
Mormon, Roadrunner, Pro Runner.
I got you.
The Road Ready Pro Runner, something like that.
It's like everything we've kind of done up to this point is just like going over the build, the specifics, showing you the shop, showing you the cars, the options, test driving. You know, seeing pictures and videos is one thing, but physically getting behind the wheel of the car and feeling that is what kind of gives you the smile. And really, you stand behind and you believe what you're purchasing, and that's super important.
So I started with, we did an initial consultation and I went through what I thought I would want, and then I went, what most customers do, let's just do everything, right? And so then I emailed you back with a big list of, I want to do this, and this. And then I came here and got to see everything. And so then it dawned on me what I really wanted.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to go to the desert. It's very unlikely. And so we were able to build and spec out what I really want, what I need.
I'm going to try to get you, but
yeah,
but still, you can if you ever wanted to.
Yeah,
But
right.
this car is going to drive like a dream on road. Take that thing 90 on the highway and just barely touch the steering wheel. The car is going to be very well road mannered, and that's important.
Yeah.
So, you know, details. Yes, we went back and forth and made some changes. You trimmed off the things you don't want or need, but we've communicated all of those options line by line. You're seeing every individual part. You're seeing where your investment is going. We communicate well. Labor, parts, everything is broken down. We've got the Obsessed Garage program built, and you're ready to rock and roll, my friend. Here we just proceed to establish and get all your parts going. So, you know, starting, you know, first thing tomorrow, the laminators are going to get started making the carbon body panels. The fabricators are just going to weld up your bracketry, your suspension parts, getting your shocks spec'd and the valving and all the details that we've been talking about this past month. We're now going to, you know, have an actionable step to bring the car into production. So it's going to take about a month to get everything ready, okay?
Yeah.
Get all your parts ordered, get everything set into production, whether it's parts being sourced somewhere else from another vendor or parts we are making in-house at APG. Everything starts now. And, you know, in about 30 days, everything will be spooled up in the shop. We'll bring your wild track in the door and tear it down with the buns.
So what I'm doing is I pay for all the parts.
Yep.
So I pay that up front. I pay for the car up front, and then at the end, you know, I pay for the labor at the very end of the project, and make it super simple. I don't have to source the car.
Nope.
You're gonna find one for me, and we're doing a white Oxford white wild track.
Four-door.
Four-door.
Yep.
I decided to do the four-door.
Yeah.
Four-door is just smarter. And then a couple of things that I'm doing, you'll see when my car's done. I plan on coming back out here when my car is done, but I'm not doing a spare on the rear, so we're going to do a custom rear. What do we call that?
I'm excited for this one. We're going to take the whole rear spare off. We're going to take the tire carrier off, all the badging, everything that's back there. The fab guys are going to TIG weld in some closing plates, and then we're going to get it all flush, and my body guys are going to just make that back gate so clean.
Yeah.
You're going to have no noise in the back. I'm excited to see what this one's going to look like.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving us the challenge.
Yeah. Thanks, George. It's been awesome to go out and experience the car, and now next I just got to wait for it to get done. Now, one of the coolest things about this, I mean, I'm going to have this darn thing in a few months. Like this, normally, you know, a lot of builders would take a year or two, you know, to get something like this. But at the level that you're building this, I'm going to have this in prior to year end.
Yeah, you will. You'll have this car for Christmas.
Wow. So anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned for more updates on the Matt Mormon spec. I got to come up with a name for this thing. Pro Runner build. I don't normally name my cars, but this one might get a name. So
Hey, Kenny's really good at naming cars. We'll give you some ideas.
okay, cool. Thanks, everybody.